Mr. Speaker, it's an honor for me to rise today as both a veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces and as a parliamentarian to speak for a moment about Veterans Week and our collective duty to remember the service and sacrifice of our fellow citizens. En tant qu'ancien combattant et député, c'est un honneur pour moi de me lever en cette chambre pour parler d'un sujet qui me touche particulièrement. Je veux parler de la semaine des vétérans et de notre devoir d'honorer le sacrifice de nos braves soldats. It's an honor because Canada's Parliament is both literally and figuratively built upon the sacrifice of the generations who came before us. Many Canadians recognize the iconic Tower of Parliament as the Peace Tower, but its full name is the Tower of Victory and Peace. It was rebuilt following a fire during the Great War, and it was built to honor our fallen. Now, being Canadian, over the years we modestly omitted the victory part, but let us never forget that the peace symbolized in this building came as a result of tremendous Canadian sacrifice, achieving victories far from our shores. The Tower of Victory and Peace is the physical body of our parliamentary democracy, but Canada's soul can be found inside the tower, in the Memorial Chamber. The Memorial Chamber contains stones from all the major battlefields of Europe. It has brass plaques and markings forged from the battlefield artillery casings. And the chamber contains our most hallowed library, the Books of Remembrance. Each day, pages of the Books of Remembrance are gently and respectfully turned in a ceremony that honors our fallen. Pages with thousands of names of Canadians whom most of us will have never met, but to whom most of us and all of us owe so much. Now, Mr. Speaker, it seems like I'm giving a guided virtual tour of Parliament Hill and some of the ways that Parliament commemorates service and sacrifice of Canada's veterans. It's because I am giving a virtual tour in a year we're living virtually, Mr. Speaker. Cette année, nos commémorations vont être différentes. Elles vont être plus solidaires, plus personnelles. Nos lieux de recueillement vont être fermés et nous serons loin de nos frères d'armes ou de leurs familles militaires. Mais à travers tout ça, nous allons nous souvenir. Oui, nous allons nous souvenir du courage de ces hommes et femmes qui ont tant sacrifié pour que nous puissions vivre dans un pays en paix. Across the nation, for the first time in a century, there will be no parades of remembrance. Many cenotaphs will not have ceremonies, and others may only have 10 participants, where we once saw hundreds or thousands. From the National War Memorial in Ottawa to the smallest cenotaphs in the towns and hamlets of this country, services of remembrance will not look or feel the same this year. Therefore, I'm challenging Canadians to show our commitment to remember our veterans and those who serve in new ways. Memory, remembrance, respect, these are not physical actions anyway. They are emotional acts that we can dedicate ourselves to uphold during a year when Canadians have dedicated themselves to adapting and persevering through very challenging times. Remember a fallen relative or Canadian hero in your prayers, your reflections, or on social media. Respect the sacrifice of those who came before us by wearing a poppy, even if you will be the only person to see it. Learn about our history and our military heritage and the incredible stories of bravery of our men and women in uniform. And please think about the thousands of Canadians serving in uniform today, at home and abroad. They are serving for the same reasons Canadians have served for more than a century, because they believe in this country and what it represents. Today, I will use my remaining time to remember and honor one name in the Memorial Chamber that I think of each November 11th, and some other Canadians whose names will soon be inscribed on Canada's soul, our books of remembrance, when it reopens after the pandemic. On page 214 in the Service of Canada lists the name of a young woman from Weyburn, Saskatchewan, who I met on my first full day in the military at boot camp in Chilliwack in 1991. Julianne Mackenzie was an exceptional Canadian and was loved by all who met her. A piper, a patriot. As a kid, Julianne dreamed of becoming a pilot, and that's exactly what she did. She became a great pilot. She served on Sea King helicopters before being posted to fly in the Griffin out of Goose Bay, Labrador. She was on a search and rescue mission on July 18, 2002, when her Griffin crashed. The crew in the back survived because of the dedicated actions of the pilots, of Julianne. While I can't physically view her name in the Book of Remembrance this week because of the pandemic, I can tell her story and make sure more Canadians learn the story of service and sacrifice of my friend Julianne Mackenzie. Memory is an emotion, it's not an action. We've lost Canadians to service during this pandemic, and while they're not yet in the memorial chamber, I can honor them in this chamber. Canadians remember, as the Prime Minister said, those who died in the tragic cyclone helicopter crash in the Mediterranean. Captain Maxime Morin de Trois-Rivières, Quebec. Captain Kevin Hagan from Nanaimo, British Columbia. Captain Brendan Ian MacDonald from New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Sub-Lieutenant Abigail Cowbrough from Toronto, Ontario. Master Corporal Matthew Cousins from Guelph, Ontario. Sub-Lieutenant Matthew Pike from Truro, Nova Scotia. And tragedy struck when Canada's iconic snowbirds were performing Operation Inspiration across our country to lift our spirits. An accident led to the loss of Captain Jennifer Casey from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And just last week, Mr. Speaker, Canadians mourned the loss of Corporal James Choi from Vancouver, British Columbia. They shall grow not old, as that we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the growing down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. As a veteran, I always felt that the next verse of this poem, Mr. Speaker, personalized the loss of our fallen so much more. They are the sons and daughters of Canada. And for those in the military, these are the friends that you trust your life with, the comrades you laugh loudest with, the brothers and sisters you love and hope desperately to return home safe with. The next verse of the poem evokes those feelings. They mingle not with their laughing comrades again. They sit no more at the familiar tables of home. They have no lot in our labor of the daytime. They sleep beyond our nation's foam. I know there are veterans across Canada who may be struggling with the invisible wounds of service during this unique Remembrance Week. I know that you may feel alone when you think of your laughing comrades. This pandemic has put a pause to the traditions that bind us. It has robbed us of our capacity to see our friends who suffer from operational stress injuries. I know that families feel hollow looking at the empty seat at their dinner table. Je sais qu'il y a des vétérans à travers le Canada qui souffrent des blessures invisibles de service. Je sais que plusieurs d'entre vous peuvent se soutenir seuls, mais vous n'êtes jamais seuls. Nous sommes avec vous. Votre pays est avec vous. I want you to know you're not alone. You have a grateful nation with you. You have friends and comrades that want you to reach out. You have supports. You are loved, and we are all here for you. You're going to get through this week, just as our country is going to get through this pandemic. Please know that on Remembrance Day and on every day, your country will never forget your service and your sacrifice, lest we forget.